We got a lot of people to thank, and I got a lot of ground to cover in a short amount of time. So I'm going to try to work this whole thing out where I can do the scrolling thank yous on the side of the video. If not, I'll definitely put everybody in the comments. So if you see me looking up, it's because I'm not like Mike Rowe. I can't just recall this stuff off the top of my head and just be super eloquent about it. So I gotta have some notes. So I got a big whiteboard behind me. So coming home was and is a very surreal experience. You know, just having posted things on Instagram and having my wife subsequently post things, you know, mirror my stuff on Facebook. I noticed that I was, you know, gaining a following, if you will, because of what I was doing. And, you know, in talking to everyone that I encountered across the country, I figured I might get maybe 25% of those people to actually turn around and actually do something with the information that I gave them about how to follow my journey. So I thought that's what I was seeing. And I didn't really realize the impact that it had here coming home, which is fantastic. And it was definitely something that I was wanting to have as an outcome to this. Coming home to get to the event, you know, my last leg was coming from Greensboro, and my birth father was going to surprise me and ride with me. And if you've been following along, then you know that he couldn't make that journey. So his brother, my uncle, rode in his stead. And that was an emotional journey for him because his brother should have been there. But I was very, very happy to have my uncle alongside me. And we had a great time, you know, a lot of laughs. And it just feels good to have family, you know, behind me with this thing, which seeing my family, you know, Lizzie and the kids, when I got back and we pulled into Paul's place, she was the first person that my eyes fixated on. Her and I have been together a long time. We've been through a lot of stuff, and this has been a tremendously difficult experience for her as well. And it's been an eye-opening experience for both of us. It taught us that we need to be strong independently to be a stronger unit. And we need to be able to rely on ourselves as much as we rely on the other person. Having 3 kids, you're always outnumbered. So it's been great to get home. It's been great in that regard to give her a little bit of a break. Not that she ever gets a break, because sometimes I'm sure to her it feels like she has 4 kids. I demand constant attention. But to get back to the event itself, you know, the reception at Paul's was tremendous, to say the least. A friend of mine, his brother lives in town, and Billy Mellon is known in this community, and he's become a great friend to me through this planning of this trip and through the execution of this trip, checking in on me, seeing how things are going. And he did a really great job putting all the pieces together to make sure that, you know, I received the welcome home that he felt like I deserved. And I thank him tremendously for that. And I look forward to building a stronger relationship with him in the future. He's an outstanding individual, and I'm blessed to have him in my corner. Setting off from there, you know, we had a sheriff's escort to Hell's Kitchen, and we took kind of like a meandering route to get there. And I couldn't help but notice, you know, that there were people on the side of the road. You know, there were sheriff's deputies stopped, you know, and blocking intersections. And, you know, that was pretty amazing. You know, leaving town, I had one guy escort me out of town, and this deputy is a great guy, and he is an awesome individual, as well as he's an asset to the, you know, New Hanover County Sheriff's Department for sure. But Deputy Burlingame is a class act for sure. And So he didn't even know anything was going on. So when he saw everybody kind of gathered around and blocking intersections, you know, he pulled in behind everything and provided rear security. And I got to see him when I got to Hell's Kitchen, and you know, he'd been checking on me along the way, so it was great to see him again. The volume of bikes, there was between 60 and 70 motorcycles that followed me into town, and numerous cars. There were people stopped on the side of the road, you know, with sunflowers. A friend of mine, Michelle, she was out there with her flag. She's the flag lady. And it gets you choked up to know that the thing that you did and spent so much time and energy on was noticed. You know, it was really noticed. And when we got to Hell's Kitchen, I had a couple of interviews, and those have been shown across the country at this point. And I'm beyond astounded and speechless about that. I didn't think that anything that I would have done would have garnered that much attention. It's hard to rationalize all that. But it's what I wanted, you know, along the way, to reestablish the need for better suicide awareness, and reach out to my friends. You know, that's what this journey was about, was to connect with people and let them know that beyond social media, there is a connection there. There is something there that we all have, you know, as brothers and sisters in arms, and we can draw strength from one another. And while it was an emotionally taxing journey, I definitely drew strength from the people that I came into contact with. And it was a double-edged sword, because in drawing strength, you also absorb some of their pain, and you understand that the pain that they feel is the same as the pain that you feel. And, you know, that grief and that pain that we experience, I let that help me get to the next place, because the people that I spoke to, they really needed to get things off their chest, and I needed to tell them stuff as well. And so that was a success on all fronts. I've been left a little worse for wear because of it, and that's okay. I'm using that as fuel and motivation to continue on with what I'm doing, and I will outline the plans for what the next phase of Operation Purpose is in a later video. But really, one thing else I wanted to touch on was, I'm not an egotistical person. I really don't feel that what I did was outside of the scope of anybody else's capabilities. And it took me 10 years to do it. I spoke to people before about my own mental health struggles and the struggles that I've had trying to be a good husband, be a good father, and maintain my ability to be a good friend. And I've waned in all of those areas at times, and I just know that I had to eat a lot of crow to get on the road. I had to become more humble than I thought that I could, and I had to maintain a level of humility on the road, and that definitely changed something within me, because we have to ask for help. The same thing that I was asking other people to do, I had to be able to do that myself, and that was a tough thing to accept, that I needed to do that. And it's something that I have to reaffirm in myself, you know, every day, because I need to emulate the person I want to be, so my children can see that, and they can see through my example, and my friends can see that, hey man, this guy's a pretty stubborn dude, and he's reaching out. You know, maybe I can reach out too when I need help or I need something, because we're all here for each other no matter what. And then probably the last thing I want to talk about is my coping skills on the road. I've taken classes through the VA, done a lot of reading on how to deal with being inside your own head, and my head's a pretty messed up place. But it would get really bad on the road, and I learned to just stop. I learned to just stop my bike. You know, I'm such a goal-oriented person. I want to get somewhere in a certain amount of time, and I'm not even going to stop to take a leak. I'll stop for gas. I just have to pound out the miles and I have to get to the next stop. But my head wouldn't let me, so I stopped on the side of the road a lot. And at first I was just trying to meditate, trying to calm my mind, calm all the screaming that was going on in there, just telling me, dude, you got to quit. This is stupid. What are you doing? You're away from everything that you ever cared about in your life, and you're out here all by yourself, and it's overwhelming. What are you doing? I couldn't talk myself out of what I was doing and out of my mission. So I wouldn't let that side of me win, but I still needed to quell those voices. And, some of what I did was, I meditated on the side of the road. I was in the middle of the Badlands, one of the most desolate, most beautiful places in our country. And I literally couldn't stand being around myself. So I stopped my motorcycle and I got on the road, got off the road, and I just calmed down. And it took a while. And several times on this journey, it took a while. But I managed to let those things subside, and I was able to maintain on my journey. But one of the things that my guy at the VA actually helped me with was, I wanted to have a good time on this trip. I knew it was going to be tough, and I knew it was going to be arduous, but I wanted to have a good time. I wanted to really enjoy my time with the people I encountered, and I didn't. I wasn't having a good time because a lot of what we were talking about was hard stuff. A lot of the miles that I was putting in, they were hard miles. They were alone miles. I didn't have someone to enjoy it with and to share those experiences. Like, hey man, did you see that deer run out in front of me? Or, did you see how beautiful that mountain was that we just passed? It was just me. And that's okay in the outset. But, living in the now, that's what he told me. You got to pay attention to what's around you. And being a motorcycle rider, you have to pay attention to what's around you. You have to look. You can't always sightsee because you got to pay attention to what you're doing. But I had to focus on the towns that I was in. What the town was known for. Was there a good place to eat? Was there a cool coffee shop? Was there something neat going on there that I just happened to, come across? Kind of like the towns in Pennsylvania that are known for lumber versus coal, or being in Lincoln and Flint, Michigan, and seeing all the really cool ass cars, and also trying not to drink their water. But, in my mind, I'm always looking at the doomsday scenario. I'm always looking at the worst in people. I'm always looking at the worst in myself. And I had to break away from that. And those thoughts, they creep back in pretty regularly. But, I'm learning tools, and not all the tools work all the time. But if I can build a big enough toolbox, then maybe I can get some of this stuff under control. But I am a work in progress. And my mission is not over. My journey is not over. As long as I got a breath in me, I'm going to try to do my damn best to let the veterans in my community and the friends that I have know that, there's an option besides making a knee-jerk decision based off of something that might be happening, and ending your life. It's a struggle daily for me. It's a struggle for most of the guys that I know that served. And it's a struggle in today's day and time for people just trying to navigate this world that we're living in. It's so crazy right now. And then when you couple the fact that, we've got all this emotional baggage, we got taught how to do things a certain way in the military. They don't teach you how to be a person again. They don't teach you how to live in the civilian world. And it takes a long time to try to become readjusted to that lifestyle. And as most of us went in, we were kids. And then when we get out, we're adults. The game changes from high school to being, in the working sector of this country. And that was, that in and of itself was a huge leap to make. And then when you've been indoctrinated into a different way of life, and then you have to come back out of that, I don't think we have enough tools in our arsenal when we get out to deal with that. So that's why a lot of us turn to drinking. We turn to violence. We turn to drugs. There's a lot of coping mechanisms that aren't healthy, and we have to be able to rely on each other and draw strength, like I said. So I'm going to try to roll this stuff on the side of this thing. I definitely, my family first and foremost. I couldn't do anything. I wouldn't have a reason for being here if it wasn't for my family. They've kept me on this side of the grass when they didn't know I was even having issues. So communication has become pretty paramount in our relationship, with my wife and with my children. And, through having successes in my communicating with them in a more constructive way, I have actually been able to help relationships that I have with other people, and actually be able to more constructively convey my feelings and points that I want to make. And somebody even said, it's an old thing, you've got one mouth and two ears, so you need to listen twice as hard as you speak. And that's a really great analogy to make. And so I'm trying to live by that. So thank you guys. I'm going to do some more videos coming up soon. Let you know where we're at with Operation Purpose. I've got some ideas for the next Ride for Light, and I'm going to rely on a lot of people to help me make that happen, because I'm not going to try to be away from my family as long as I have been. So thank you guys. I really appreciate all the thoughts, positive vibes, prayers, just the great energy that's been surrounding me this whole way. And I can't wait to see what happens next.